Hey, we are live. Hey,
Hey girl, what's going on?
nothing. So what's up? How you doing today?
I am wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Just left a business meeting, so I'm excited. I'm glad to be on today with you, my sister.
That's good. So tell me what you got going on.
Actually, I have a couple of things going on. I was getting some things together for my book. Also, I have a women's conference coming up with a couple of celebrity guests. So we're doing that in March here in Texas. We were solidifying the celebrity guests. And then, in May, we're having an event in Cancun, Mexico for singles and for married people. And we're going to have the recording artist, Case, singing Happily Ever After there. So I was doing a whole lot today. How about you?
Girl, I've been busy. I find myself now working, and I'm working for myself, literally.
Right, right,
So,
right, right.
so that's how that's going right now. So tell me a little bit about your upbringing. How was life for you before you became this six-figure female on your way to be a millionaire?
Oh, woo, life was rough. Of course, I came from humble beginnings. I was raised by a single mother, and she actually taught me hard work. I had two younger brothers, so I kind of grew up helping my mom with them because she was a single mom. Lived a little bit of everywhere. My mom did not mind picking up and moving. She wanted to see the world outside of Akron, Ohio. She knew that it was more to life than just Akron, Ohio. So we moved around quite a bit. But coming up, it was a struggle living in a single parent household, watching my mom work ever since I knew her, two jobs. And it was just kind of, me helping her with the boys. And then when I became a teenager, of course, I became a little bit rebellious, as you know. Got into some things with some wrong people, looking for acceptance. The teenage life. You're looking for acceptance. And we lived in Tulsa, Oklahoma at the time. Got involved with some gangs and was dating a guy that was in gangs and things like that. And got into a little bit of trouble as a teenager. And then my mom sent me back to Ohio, where we're from, to live with my grandmother because she was kind of just fearful and scared for my life because of all the gang activity and things down there. And then at 16 became a mom. So I was forced to really just grow up really quickly because of what happened to me, how I became a mom. And it was hard. And being a teenage mom, and then my mom living in one place and I'm living somewhere else. But at that time it was just like, you're a mom now, so there is no dances at school. There is no, teenage life. It's like now you're the mom. And even though you felt like the mom already coming up because you was helping your mom with your siblings, so now you're responsible for somebody else's life. So at 16, I became a teen mom to a very handsome young man now who's getting ready to be 24 years old. And it wasn't easy, but it was worth it.
No, that's good. So, what is a message that you can give to young girls that are becoming teen moms at this moment? Because you have to sacrifice a lot of things for that, and you couldn't just give your baby up and everything. You took your responsibilities as a parent. So, what's a message that you can give to them right now?
I would have to say, first of all, I want them to wait as long as possible to become a parent. In my situation, it was very unfortunate. It wasn't my choice.
Right.
So, but for the young ladies who are out here that, have a choice and they become teen moms, it does, you have to be willing to sacrifice and give it up everything. There is no time out with friends. There is no, I was working at 16, I was working 2 jobs,
Mm.
and the average adult don't work 2 jobs. So they have to realize, once you become a mother, you have to understand you have to understand sacrifice. If you don't want to sacrifice, you definitely don't want to be a mom. I remember, as a teen mom, I remember days when my children were younger. And that's why today I don't want to see a oodle, a noodle, or Roman noodle at all, because it's like, I remember the days when I had to decide, you know, am I going to eat or are they going to eat? And at that moment, I made a decision. As long as they can eat, I'm okay with that. I'm fine with the fact that I know that they're eating. So there is no more you. You put you on the back burner because why? They are the most important things in your life, and you have to give up a lot. I just had told my husband, we were talking about this. I said, honey, we're hosting all these events. I said, maybe we should do an adult prom because I know so many people that were teen parents or teen mothers that never went to their prom. I didn't go to my prom. I knew they, like, now they have winter formals and all of that stuff. I went to my winter formal in the 9th grade. I didn't go to winter formal 11th grade or 12th grade. I didn't get a chance to experience any of those things because I was a mom. You have to set aside the fun because the most important thing in your life at that moment is that child that didn't ask to come here. So, they can't get any more than what you give them.
Yeah, that is true. And what are the things that you did for yourself and your child once you hit 18 years old and you adult and you just on your own?
So actually, I moved out before I was an adult. I actually got married. I actually got married at 19 and had my second child. So I actually moved out and was on my own before I was 18. So I had to, pay bills. I actually quit school and went back because I was working 2 jobs. I was not an adult. I quit school because you know what? At the school wasn't paying the bills.
Mhm.
And then in that process, I met a young man, and he was great, great father to my son. And then we wound up getting married and having a daughter. And I basically just, jumped into that adult mode, that work field, and I was just working, working, working. A lot of times, I didn't even get a chance to see my kids like I wanted to because I was working. And then I got a corporate job, and the corporate job had a daycare center attached to the job. I would have to walk across the bridge, and I would actually visit because the shift I worked was 12 to 9:30, and I would actually walk across the bridge and have lunch with my kids. So I would visit my children at daycare because I had to work. Because what? Bills had to be paid, they had to eat. And once you get adult, guess what? You got to make it happen. You can't call on somebody to come try to save you or help you. And that's how I wound up, getting caught up with the wrong people and eventually getting myself into some trouble. But
So
yeah.
before we get into the things that you got yourself into trouble, it's a lot of women that are now mothers and they're struggling on juggling to be a mother. They're washing clothes, they're feeding their kids, they're going to work, they're doing everything, but it's a lot of mothers that's still trying to prioritize their time. What is one of the things you did at a young age to prioritize your time for yourself or your kids or anything? How did you get through that?
Well, actually, there was no balance. I'm gonna just be all the way honest. There was no balance because, like I said, the way that I was working, and I was determined not to be a statistic. Basically, not have my education. So what I did was I went to nights. I worked during the day. I went to night school at night to make up my credits for when I dropped out of school. But after I got that together and did get my diploma, I had to, it's sad, but I had to schedule time. I was like, okay, at this time, it's my kids' time. At this time, I'm working. At this time, this is what I'm doing. So I basically had to schedule time. And for the single moms that's out there right now, I get it. I understand it. They're like, look, I want to be there with my kids, but at the same time, I have to pay bills. I want to do this because I hear a lot of backlash from people that saying, she's always working. Well, you got to always be working, whether it's for you or for somebody else. But what I found out later on down the line is that if you do want that time freedom, if you do want to have that freedom with your kids and nobody dictates your schedule, you got to be in business for you. But back then, I didn't know that. So what I did, I just worked hard. And guess what? I had to just schedule time with my kids, with my husband at the time. I had to schedule it because there was no other way, because there really was no balance, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. So with you having a husband at that time, a lot of women are in relationships still, either with their boyfriends or their husbands. What is some advice you could give them? Because did you ever feel like while in a relationship you still felt like you was doing everything, you didn't have no help, as though you were a single parent? So what is something that you can give to women that are going through a situation like that?
So yes, that is kind of almost the reason that our relationship became a demise, because that is what I felt. I felt like I was the driving force behind the entire situation. And now that I'm older, I can give the advice is have your, whether you're married, dating, whatever, have your significant other buy into what you're doing. Y'all need to sit down and have a conversation and say, look, these are my goals. This is what it's going to take to get to the goal. Are you in or are you out? Because if they're not in all the way, you might as well cut that right then and there. Because what's going to happen down the line is that you're going to become, what word am I trying to use? You're going to have so much animosity towards this person. You're going to grow bitter towards them. That's what I'm looking for. You're going to grow bitter towards that person. Now the situation just got worse, because guess what? Children can feel hostility. They can feel when it's not right in a household. So now you're angry all the time, because that's what I was. I was angry because I was frustrated. So what I'm telling them now, what you're going to have to do is, whoever you're in a relationship with, you need to have them buy into what you're doing and say, look, this is what I need from you. I need you to watch the kids on Tuesday and Thursdays because that's my late night at the job. I need you to do this because guess what? If teamwork does make the dream work, and if there is no I in team, and if you the only one on the team, what he here for?
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
sinking the ship. Sinking it all the way. So in that process of that, you did mention that your life changed. So what changed in your life at that very moment of it turning to something else?
As far as what?
When you mentioned earlier on, before I even went back to speaking about, uplifting women that are single mothers, you said that your life had changed. What was the change that transpired in your life that took a turn?
So I had a lot of life changing experiences. Which one we talking about today?
We're talking about the early one. The early
Okay, so when I was younger, you
Yes.
talk about when I was younger. So
You had your
really,
kids and everything. You went into the corporate world.
yes, I went into the corporate world, and then shortly after being in the corporate world, my marriage kind of fell apart. Because my ex-husband was on one wavelength, I was on something different. Because it's one, they usually say that the women mature faster than the men anyway.
Yes.
So even though he was older than me 5 years, when it came to taking care of business, my mentor was way further along. So there were things in my life that I did no longer want to, partake in, because now it's cool when it's just y'all two, right? But when you got kids involved and it's like, I want more. I know it's more out of life than, the projects. I know it's more out of life than living in poverty. I had that mindset at that point that I knew there was more in life, and that's what I wanted. And certain things I didn't want to be a part of. So I think the major change started to happen when I started going through my separation. And once I went through the separation, I did meet somebody shortly thereafter, but once I was going through that separation, I really, you know, the saying that says, you don't know how strong you are until you have no other choice but to be strong. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
So I had no choice but to be strong. So at that pivotal moment, I made a decision and said, look, are you going to cry about it, or you gonna just keep it moving, and whatever you need to do, you're gonna have to do it. And I told myself at that moment, you know, this is the time, you know, now your kids are still young. This is the time that's going to make you or going to break you. And that was the turning point in my life, even though there were some bumps and there was a roller coaster along the way, some bumps and bruises. But that was really the turning point when I separated from my husband. And then it was just like from then on out, I had a different thought process and a different mindset.
Wow. So what you end up doing after you end up leaving them? Did you continue to stay in Akron, Ohio, or did you move out, or what did you end up doing?
So actually, before we separated, we actually moved to Oklahoma for a little bit
Okay.
because I wanted him to be able to see something different outside of Akron, Ohio. I knew I was trying to show him it was more to the world than that. And then once we went back, it kind of was downhill from there. But once we separated, yes, I stayed in Akron, Ohio, but I knew that was not where I was going to wind up. I stayed and then got into another relationship and just kind of dated that person for about 5 years. And I stayed in Akron, but no, it wasn't. It wasn't where I was supposed to be, and because that is how I kind of wind up where we going when we talk about the latter years. But I stayed, even though the relationship wasn't healthy that I was in. I kind of stayed in it. I think it was because of the simple fact that I was like, I'm young, I have 2 kids. You know, a lot of women go through that, and they will stay for all the wrong reasons, the comfortability, the fear of starting over, and stay in things that they shouldn't be in. And that's what I did. And it wound me up somewhere that really, really changed my life.
Where was that?
So in 2006, you know, with the person that I was with and some friends that I had started that I met along the way, I was indicted on some charges in 2006. And when I say that was the worst year of my life, it was the worst year of my life. I think that's when the real inner change, see, the outer change had started before, but I think the real inner me, because sometimes the inner me can be your enemy, right? I
Yes,
think
it
the
can.
real, yeah, I think the inner me changed at that moment, because when I say I lost every single individual that I loved at that time in a matter of 6 months. My father went to prison. My brother went to prison for something he did not do. Wound up being in there for 7 years. He was on his way to the NFL and wound up being railroaded. Wound up doing 7 years in prison. Then my sister and her baby was killed in a car accident by a drunk driver.
Man.
Then my mom got sick. Then me myself got in trouble as well. And at that moment, that's when God really opened my eyes and was like, what are you doing? You know, because when I was standing in that courtroom, I had never been in trouble a day in my life, and nothing outside of a speeding ticket. And I was standing in that courtroom, and at first I was like, why me? My thought process is different now. I was like, why me? Why am I? But one thing about me, and you know me personally, one thing about me, loyalty is everything to me. So I stood in that courtroom as a loyal individual that didn't care, that they told me that I don't care if you've never been in trouble, you facing 8 years in prison. And the loyalty that I have in me, I said, well, I guess that's what's gonna happen. I've never been away from my children. Their father was in prison. And it was just it looked bad at the time to me, but actually that was the most redeeming moment in my life. It actually it actually made me who I am today. It was a very humbling experience. And then right before, I went to court for over a year because the prosecutor just would not let up, even though she didn't care. She was just trying to make a name for herself. And when I went back to my final court date I had right before I went, I found out I was pregnant. And I was not in the best of health at that time. I was a diabetic, everything, insulin dependent, 4 times a day shooting myself. And I asked the judge for her grace. I did. I said, well, can you just at least wait till I have my baby if you're gonna send me away? And she told me no. She told me no. But she did tell the prosecutor, she said, I will not give this lady 8 years in prison. She didn't kill anybody. She didn't hurt anybody. I just refuse to do that. But because she did not cooperate with us and tell us what we wanted to know, she is still going to prison for 2 years. And I stood in that courtroom, and that was the pivotal moment. I cried and I cried and I cried like a baby. And then while being in there, when I was 7 months pregnant, they actually gave me too much insulin, the nurse did, and it killed my baby at 7 months. So that is what really made me who I am today. But at that moment, even being at OSU hospital, holding that lifeless baby, God was in there with me, and he said, it is a reason for everything. I'm going to give you double for your trouble. And I believe about 4 weeks later, they rode me from Columbus, Ohio to Cleveland, Ohio to a pre-release center. And the moment I walked in the door, this gentleman who was my sergeant, you always hear me say, I am Joseph.
Yes.
And this is why. The moment I walked in that receiving unit to get my uniform and all of that stuff, he said, I don't know what it is about you. You have a light around you. You're not the average person that comes in here.
You do.
And he said, you're not the average person. He didn't even look up my charges. And he said, I don't know what you're here for, but you got purpose. And 2 years after my release, he found me on Facebook and introduced me to the industry of network marketing, where now I make multiple 6 figures. And so that was my journey. I had to go there because even though I was in the pit, that's why my book is called From the Pit to the Palace. Even though I was in the pit, I still had favor. So when I met him, and I still give him and his wife the utmost respect, I give them shout outs all the time, because he introduced me to an industry that I knew nothing about. I know I would have never known anything about, because when we was raised, it's a pyramid, it don't work. Yeah. And it was just because of the lack of knowledge of people. So I had to go to where I went, and God allowed me to go through all of those things in my life, because he was preparing me for this moment right here. And when I got introduced to that industry, I saw that not only that I can create wealth and I could help other people, because my heart, I want to help everybody. I told you, I said, we're going to be multi-millionaires. That's from the moment I met you.
You tell everybody that. You tell everybody that. It's like the faith that you have in others. As long as they pour it right back into you, you will continue to pour into them, and it's supposed to keep going with the wheel. But you always be the one to set it off automatically. You ain't even another person.
Yes, it's reciprocity. Whatever you put out is what you get back. And a lot of times I see God gives me that gift to be able to see things in people that they can't see in themselves. And sometimes to pull things out of people that people don't understand their power. And it's a lot of people that have it in them, but nobody ever told them you can do this, or that you're great, or that so they didn't believe. And then he sent me. And so that is why I started women empowerment, because I feel like women wear so many hats. They the mom, they the wife, they the businesswoman. They go through so much hurt and this, that, and the other, and people teach them to hide it and never talk about it. But if whatever you don't acknowledge, you can't heal it anyway. So that's why I encourage them. I don't care how big, how little, how small, or how tall you are. You know, you are beautiful. You got what's in you. You know, you got to speak that thing over
Yes.
your life. And I always tell them, I can't believe in you more than you believe in you. The moment you start believing in you, it's gonna change everything in your life. And it took me to sit inside of a sale with three strangers that I did not know to
Right.
realize my purpose on this earth. Because when you figure out what your purpose is, you become powerful. A lot of people are just out here going through the motions of life, but they
Right.
don't understand what their purpose is. That's why I tell them, if I help you get your finances, I said you'll have 99 problems, but a bill won't be one. So if
Hello.
I, so if I can help you get your finances out of the way, because people are always chasing money when it should
Yeah.
be the opposite. It should be the total opposite. Your money should follow you wherever you go.
Follow you. Heavy.
Right. So when you get money out of the way, you can tap into what your purpose is. And God said your gift will make room for you. That's why I always say multimillionaires, and we would have never been able to make the income that we made legally
Mm-hmm.
had I
But
not went there. See, I
you know
had to
what?
go suffer
You
first.
know what? Out of everything that you do, I think overall about you and your personality and everything is just the power of your tongue. You always speak things into existence, even if it wouldn't happen at the moment. You already have faith, knowing that it's going to happen and it's going to transpire. And believe it or not, it'll probably happen tomorrow, and somebody not even knowing it. But when you do that, whoever's watching, when she say that, she mean what she said.
I do.
Y'all have to understand that, but it's like it's good that you are that woman to be able to uplift and inspire people to give them that drive. You give them the tools, you give them the encouragement, you give them so much, and the rest have to be on them.
Exactly. Exactly. They say you can take them to the well, but you can't make them drink the water.
No, because you're
I
gonna
can I can
drown.
lead them there, but they have to want it for themselves.
Yep, they're gonna be drowning, and it's gonna be on them.
Yes.
That's it. Now, as far as you being a businesswoman, even before you even became that, where did the love of your life come from? How did you guys end up meeting?
It's so funny. I met my husband in business. I met him in network marketing. I was in a energy company at the time. And I made a post on Facebook about the company I was in at the time was offering free, they could join for free if they were a veteran. And so his brother's wife actually saw my post on Facebook, and she commented and she said, she inboxed me and said, my husband is a veteran and we would love to, join you in business. And I met up with them at a coffee shop. And when I went to their home to do the presentation, my now husband was sitting there, and I was trying to do the presentation, but Lord, I was checking him out, and I was like, oh wow. But I thought his sister was his wife because they had the same last name. I didn't know they were sister or brother. And
Mm.
then when the presentation was over, my sister-in-law said, that's not his wife, that's his sister. He's single. He's going through a divorce. You going through a divorce. So I was like, okay, let me shoot my shot. So as you can see, I hit the shot.
Yeah, you so good. You done dunked it many times.
Yes, yes, honey.
And how long have you guys been married now?
So this is the funny part. We started dating in December of 2012. We got married at Bible study
Wow.
October in October of 2013. So we only dated 10 months before we got married, and then we had a big wedding in 2014.
Oh, that's just such a blessing.
Yeah,
After you going through so much, that had to been a time where you gained a closer relationship with God, and you both had an understanding, and He just started to pour into you because He knew you was ready.
absolutely. And I always tell people, You never want God to give you something prematurely and you lose it. He knew before I wasn't ready. So
Mhm.
he was, a lot of people like they making marriage like it's a game. I take that
Yeah,
real serious. They
yeah,
want to be married because their friend is married. That's not what it's about. Or they want to just say they have a ring. But my husband, it was the quiet to my storm. He came into my life right when I needed him to be, because that was when I was really, really having that turning point in my life. So God put him in my life. Like, we're total opposites. I'm like, hey, I love
no,
everybody. And he real quiet and laid back. He like observing, like, hey, so he's like, he balances me out. And I think we balance each other, because I push him, and to let him know that he got greatness in him too, because he's a powerhouse. And I just believe, because my husband is epileptic.
yes,
So he has epilepsy. And he was diagnosed with that when he was 12. So he'd been having seizures a long time. But I told him, and he said, every time I come out of a seizure, God give me a vision. And I told him, I said, that's the way sometimes that God's talking to you. And he is very grounded, and he kind of kept me grounded when I was, I'm on 90 and he like on 2. So he's like, no, you need to bring it down. So he is the quiet to my storm. And God has really blessed us. He has.
yes. And I love the way you guys compliment each other. It's like amazing, and I do see the balance. I see the balance is there, but it's just it's amazing to see. It's refreshing because, as you were saying, people don't take marriage serious no more. They just want to take the picture and post it now, as
No.
though they are happy. But it takes a lot of praying during a
It
marriage.
takes it takes prayer. It takes work. It's just like a job. I tell people prayer. I tell people that marriage is not for the faint at heart.
No,
You got to be willing. It's an everyday battle. Why? Because you got all this worldly stuff out here. You got
yeah,
all of these. You got all of these different things happening, and you got to definitely stay in your word. You got to stay prayed up. You got to stay covered. That's what I say. I said, the best thing that God gave me when he gave me my husband, he gave me a praying husband. So when I can't pray for myself, and when the load seems so heavy, because like I said, I wear so many hats.
yes, you do.
Sometimes it just feels overwhelming. Like, my father passed away this year, and that was the worst. And I know you can feel where I'm coming from. It was like the worst pain I could ever feel in my life. And I could not, it was like I couldn't get my bearings. And the people that I thought was going to be there wasn't there.
Right.
So my husband and my children was there around the clock. But more importantly than being there, he was praying for me. Laying hands on me, praying for me, because there were days I didn't want to get out the bed. It was
Yes.
days, you know how that go. It was days that I didn't want to answer the phone. No, I'm not on Facebook. I'm on Facebook always uplifting and encouraging. And at that moment, I was the person that needed the uplifting and encouragement. But God already knew what was going to happen. So he made sure he placed him in my life for a time such as this, especially with all that's going on in the world.
Yes.
You gotta stay in your word. You gotta have somebody that's going to encourage you, empower, uplift you, and pray for you as a spouse. And no, we don't. We just made some shirts, because we got a shirt business. We made
Yes.
some shirts. We said we don't do it for the validation. We don't do it for Instagram. We don't do it for the book. We do it for the Lord, because we know where our help comes from. It's
Yes.
not Tiffany McIntosh that's doing this. We know that God gave us the gifts that we have to be able to do what we do. So we know where our help comes from. In a pandemic, we didn't suffer at all.
Mhm.
Actually, he gave us more creativity.
That's good. And that's what I was
So
going to ask you about that. Um, you are a serial entrepreneur. You just
yes,
don't run one business.
no.
But before we get into that, let people know how important it is during this quarantine time to take advantage of the time that they do have to start a business.
So a lot of people looked at I'm thankful for. I'm gonna just tell you right off rip. I'm thankful for the quarantine. I
Me
am.
too. Me too.
It exposed a lot of things, and at the same time, it actually let me know, what I was feeling, what I was thinking was valid. It showed me some things of where I was spending too much time and where I needed to spend more time. And so, in the midst of a pandemic, when everybody was panicking, they were panicking. First of all, you can't have fear and faith. You got to pick one.
Yeah.
I always tell people, if you're gonna pray, why worry? And why worry if you pray?
Mm-hmm.
But this was the time. I really thought though, when the government shut down last year, I thought that was gonna open up people's minds and eyes to let them know that
I
they
did
needed to.
too.
Yeah,
They
I
got
thought
they
that would
got
make people
comfortable. They got
right.
comfortable, and they thought it was like, yeah, I finally get to chill. I finally get to relax.
No, I thought that would have opened up people's eyes to let them know I have to get a business. I cannot put all the. Didn't your mama tell you a long time ago, don't put all your eggs in one basket?
Yeah.
So I tell them, work your full time job with integrity. That means
Mm-hmm.
you're working for your first name. Get you a business and work for your own last name. Because whoever clock you're punching, that's whose last name you working for. If you work at Ford, you working for Ford's last name. If
Yeah.
you work at Chrysler, you working for Chrysler's last name. But what about the McIntosh name? What about the Lloyd last name to be able to leave your children an inheritance? And this is the time more now than ever, especially they didn't gave these people money to start a business.
A lot of it.
A lot of money, and they trying to floss.
In a month, less than a month.
Get
In
back
a
to where you
day.
started at.
In a day.
Help them, Jesus. But what I'm saying is, if no other time, this is the time that you should be starting a business. Not now, but right now. Not today, but yesterday. I did a live about that in my women's group that I have in my six-figure chick group about starting a business. I said, contact me, inbox me. They're like, well, how is you traveling all over the world? I own a travel business.
Well, private business. That's what you do.
I will show you how to do it from home. It pays me a large amount of money. I will show you how to do. People still traveling. They're
Yes,
not sitting
yes,
at home.
yes, they can.
So now is the time more than ever for a person to start a business. And if you feel like fear, if you feel fearful, go look at your babies. Go look at your babies. And then that should make you want to do it because your fear should be your fear of being broke, your fear of being homeless, your fear of not leaving your children anything. That should be more fearful than starting a business. Because guess what? You'll never know if you're going to fail if you never do it. And the most wealthiest people that I know that make $2 and $3 and $4 million a month, they failed their way
Nope.
forward. They failed first
Failed
before
a
they were
lot of
successful.
times. Failure is a part of growth.
Absolutely.
Because I know I myself, I have failed many times. But
Me
out of my
too.
failures, even if I know that I failed, I know it's something even greater for me.
Absolutely. And I say that about my business because when one person tell me no, they don't want to do the business, three people tell me yes. So that's part of it. Everything not for everybody, but do
Yeah.
something. Don't sit back and wait and see what the government gonna do or what your job is gonna do. You create wealth because in this season, God said He's gonna give you creativity to
Yes,
get wealth.
yes. Because everybody has a gift. It's just you have to find the time out for yourself and not worry about nothing else and figure out what you want for you. And that's one of
Right.
the most important things that people need to understand, because just because somebody is selling snacks here, then the other person selling snacks, both of y'all's paths is still different, even though you both selling snacks.
I'm gonna tell you something. It's a young lady that's on my team right now in my travel business. She messaged me and said she wanted to sell t-shirts. Me and my husband been doing Christian shirts, just all kinds of stuff. We've been doing that since
Yeah.
a long time, since 2013. Guess what I told her? I said, what do you need from me? Because guess what? Swables and Wonder Bread. If you go down the bread aisle, it's not just one type of bread. It
Mm-hmm.
what's for you is for you, and what's for me is for me. Just like I have my sister here right now. I sell lashes. Guess what? She the magnetic lash queen.
Yep.
I've been pushing her stuff. I don't care about, because guess what? It's enough money in it for all of us. If
Everybody.
more people would think like that instead of hating, they gonna be blessed. They gonna
Mm-hmm.
be blessed. It's enough people. It's enough. It's 7 billion people on the earth. You
Yeah.
can't get all the customers. Let
I
somebody
know,
else get
right?
some.
But that's a prime example with you having a travel business. You're gathering up people together for them to do the traveling business, and all of y'all go end up doing it, and all of y'all go end up traveling together.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's why we were supposed to be on a vacation this year every single month. Because I was calling you and saying when y'all coming.
Yep.
So the pandemic kind of put a halt on it.
Oh
But
man.
now that they're opening back up countries, you see, I was just on a vacation with Bay, and I'm getting ready to go
Yeah.
on another trip. So we back on vacationing every month because guess what? I believe that you should give people their flowers while they're here, and you should live your life while you have life.
Yes,
So we
it's
back up
so
out of here.
important. Yeah, it's important to go on vacations and treat yourself instead of, like, some people may say, I can't afford it, I can't do this and can't do that. What advice you give those people that say they can't afford to travel?
But they can afford it. That's the reason why you joined the travel business because guess what? You're traveling like an insider. You are
Hmm.
not traveling. You're not traveling like a consumer. Just like, for instance, you may pay one price at the store for a shirt, but the store didn't pay that price for the shirt. They have to make money, right? So it's the
Hmm.
same concept. You're traveling as an insider in the travel business.
Yep. And that's true. That's like buying a polo shirt from Polo and you getting it from Marshalls.
Right, absolutely, same difference. And it's gonna be half the price, but you
Yeah.
get the same shirt.
Yeah. Yep, definitely. So what other business ventures do you have going on right now?
Actually, my husband and I just started a trucking business,
Okay.
we started that in May. So we were doing that, the brokerage, the dispatching, and then we're getting ready to do a fleet of trucks for sprinter vans for to be able to deliver for Amazon. We also have we have the travel business. We have I have a boutique, a hair bar. So all of this is from me. And I have a boutique where I sell clothing and all of that stuff. And not only that, your girl is an author. So I am doing some stuff with that for my book. Um, and my women empowerment. So we're doing a lot of women empowerment events. I'm excited to be able to have you there.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm so happy.
yes, and we gonna release who the celebrity guests are tomorrow. Actually, we're gonna be IG live releasing who the celebrity guests for our Women Who Win conference in March in the Woodlands, Texas, at this beautiful, amazing resort. We're having that March 18th through the 21st here in Texas. And we got so many women registered. They're coming from all over the globe, literally. And when I say I got some powerhouse speakers, some people ain't even on the flyer yet.
Oh,
First day, we're going to have ministry. I got a business mogul that's coming. She fire, making multiple seven figures. And this is the thing, we're giving you the info for
yeah.
free.
Free game. Free game. Just come to Texas. That's it.
Yeah, we're giving you the game for free. The game is not sold separately. We're giving it to you for free. So we actually only have 30 more spots left for our women's conference because I actually stopped registration until we got everybody solidified. And now we just opened registration back up yesterday. And we literally only have, since yesterday, we only have 30 spots left for the Women Who Win conference in March.
Man, just 30. How many all together?
Girl, it's gonna be a packed house. Oh, and then we're doing our vacation, our big vacation, and the singles event in Cancun, Mexico. We're gonna be at the Hideaway by Royalton. We're doing that event Memorial Day weekend, May 27th through the 31st of next year. We're actually having two celebrity guests. We have not released the second one, but some people are gonna be there renewing their vows. That's why I said we take marriage seriously. We want to get everybody booed up. We love love.
There's what you I think you was doing like couples. You got people blind dates and all.
Yeah, so we got so many games that we gonna do with these people. It's gonna be hilarious. So it's an all inclusive. We're gonna have private events there at the resort. So they're all of their alcohol, all of their food, all of their lodging, everything is gonna be included. You're gonna get a chance to witness some of the married people renewing their vows. I got two people that's actually getting married there, so I'm not gonna release their info. I'm gonna let them tell themselves. And then we even invited the singles ready to mingle, so the singles will be there. We're gonna have a speed dating game for them. Oh, it's gonna be a black. I love to have fun.
Yes, but I just want people to realize, even though you're saying all this right now, it's the vision you have.
Yes.
Like that's what I want everybody to get from this message. It's the vision you have that God brings to you, or your husband have a vision. You guys bring it together, and instead of y'all sitting on it, y'all
We
make it
execute.
happen.
We
Yeah,
execute. Boom.
yeah. You make it
We come up
happen.
with it and we pray about it. We don't care who with us and who ain't with us. Who supposed
Yeah,
to be with us gonna be with us, and who not, we'll catch them on the flip side. So
yeah.
we just keep it moving. And when we announce this, we actually have a group on Facebook. It's called Vacation 2020. Not vacation, vacation.
Vacation.
Vacation 2021 and Singles Ready to Mingle. It's all together a group, because we are actually, like I said, we're people are so they want to date and they want to do things, and they're operating in fear. They don't so we bringing people out of their comfort zone. We gonna ask them some questions. The married people are actually over the games that the single people gonna be playing. Because guess what? You have to be that example, whether you're the example in business, whether you're the example in ministry, or whether you're the example in life, just period. That's why we have to let people know, no, marriage is not for the faint at heart. No, don't get married for all the wrong reasons. Don't get married because y'all trying to prove people wrong, or don't get married just because you want a ring. You got to be in that thing. It's vacation 2021, not 2020, 2021. And Singles Ready to Mingle 2021. It's a group on Facebook. They can request to join. They have to answer the questions to be accepted into the group. And we have fun. We speak stuff over people. We just let people know that life is not over. Live your life now. Live life while you got life. Have fun. Enjoy yourself. Meet new people. Don't be afraid to step outside your comfort zone, because
your man or your wife may not be in your hometown.
and this is the funny part about it. My husband is the total opposite of what I ever dated. And that's what I needed, because my picker was off. So I had to let God pick my husband. You see what I'm saying? He knew what I needed. Total opposite. Quiet, laid back. I wanted rowdy. But God said, no, I got something different from you. And I see why, because at this point in my life, I don't want no rowdiness right now. I'm too old. I'm a granny. So God knew to send the calm to the storm early, so I can be prepared for right now. But yeah, with Cancun, Mexico, we're gonna have the biggest beach party ever. We having a phone party. We didn't rent it out the entire club at the resort. It's gonna be all out fun. It's gonna be clean adult fun, and at the same time, people are going to get a chance to meet people outside of where they're from, to see that it's bigger than where you're at.
It is. It really is. And people really need to realize that because it expands their thought process.
Absolutely.
Instead of you being so self centered in your own bottle, it's like it's more to the world. Why live life with regrets? Why live
Absolutely.
life when you travel more and do things that you love to do? The miserable will leave.
Absolutely. Well, they actually say a person that travels at least takes a vacation at least once to twice a year is one happier, two less likely to have a heart attack or stroke. Why?
Yep.
Because when you're on vacation, you're releasing. So whatever
Yep.
going on back at home, you like, look, I'll deal with that when I get back, but I'm not dealing with that right now.
Mm-mm. Nope.
It,
And
it, it rekindles your flame in your relationship. It does a lot of things for a person. And at the same time, it lets you see there's more to life and there's more to God's earth than where you currently live.
yes, it is. It's true. So, how can people purchase your book? Because y'all need to
So,
get this.
yes, so my book is actually on Amazon, but if they want a autograph copy, because of course I can't autograph the copies that come from Amazon,
Right.
they can go to Tiffany McIntosh webs.com and order the book. They can order the book there, and I will autograph the book and send the book to them. So they
Hmm.
can go there, tiffanymacintosh.webs with an S on the end.com, and they can order the book. I'll autograph the book and send them the book because, of course, I shaved my entire story down. I did not want to give them all of the tea on the
Yeah.
podcast. I want
And
them to
that's why I
read the
asked them
story.
the questions. That's why I kept it real short because I want people to be inspired by you and actually listen to what you're trying to tell them. Not only that, even though somebody can purchase your book, but you could be their coach, you could be their mentor.
Absolutely. I do
You
coaching
could be,
sessions. I coach people on whether they're in the same business as me or not. I show them how they can, walk into their true purpose of what God called them to be. Some people are. I don't know if you saw my live yesterday about being thankful
not
on
just
Facebook. And some people are not where they're supposed to be in life is because of who they're connected to. I was guilty of that. That was the reason why I couldn't go any further. I had went to the cap of where God was taking me because of my surroundings and the people that was around me. I always tell people, if you're the smartest person in your circle, if you're the person with the most money in your circle, guess what? You need a new circle because you reached your lid. There is no room for elevation. Because if you're the person,
you be drunk. Okay, you told me that plenty of times.
I
So if
have.
you be looking at me, don't be
You see how
sorry.
I'm looking at you? I can't get up it's all dark in my office. I can't even move because I don't want to get off the camera to turn the light on because I wanted to make sure you could see me looking at
Oh,
you.
oh, I see you. All right,
Change your circle. You change your circle, you change your life.
you
Look
right.
at the five most people you hang with in your circle, and that's who you become. If you hang with five broke people, you're gonna be number six. If you hang with five millionaires, you have to be number six. Because guess what? The universe gives you exactly what you become who you hang around. Period.
Mhm.
Birds of
Yes,
a feather do flock together.
yes,
I'm
they do.
not hanging with nobody that's hanging out on those street corners. Why? We don't have anything in common. I'm not hanging out with nobody that's talking broke mentality. Why? Why would I have $1 million conversation with a $30 an hour mindset? It's a
Mhm.
no winning. You're gonna drain yourself trying to
Yep.
make people believe in them. Now I will encourage you, I will inspire you, but I can't. This is what I had to teach myself. I cannot believe in you more than you believe in you. Because at
Yep.
that moment, I become an enabler and not a coach.
You'll get the dragging and carrying them like this, and you
Weight
be
it
going
down,
down more and more.
and you wonder why you don't want to get out the bed in the morning and you tired.
hmm Yep. And it's just not healthy.
It's not. It's not.
It's
You should be in a healthy relationship because if anything is always one sided, I was told that's an abusive relationship. Abusive relationships is not always physical. You know,
Yeah, it can
it's
be
one
mentally,
sided, it's
emotionally.
abusive.
Hmm. So, what is something uplifting and inspiring that you could share with our listeners right now?
So I wanna share with you guys, whatever you believe you can do it. Don't let anybody rain on your parade. Don't let anybody tell you that. I don't care if it's your mama. Don't let anybody tell you what you cannot do, because your vision is for you. It's not for that person. I remember when I got into this industry, woo, my family was negative for it, because they weren't taught that in their life. They weren't taught that they wasn't taught leverage income. They was taught trade time for money. Both of us know punching the clock, you can never be wealthy. Always tell people, oh,
Hey,
see,
Tiffany, hold
yes, ma'am.
up. The devil don't like you talking to people right now. You lightweight breaking up.
Okay,
So it's
hold
like
on now.
right when you start talking good, the devil want to say, "No, you don't need to tell everybody that." Been good the
Hold
whole
on, let me
time.
mute and unmute. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So that vision is for you. It's not for them. God gave you the vision. He didn't give it to them. I always tell people, your CEO of your company will never pay you enough money to be his neighbor. Why? Because working a job was never intended for wealth. It was intended to make the owner wealthy. It was never intended to make the employee wealthy. So I want to encourage you, whatever vision you have, execute it. Don't sit on it. This is why they say the most wealthy place in the world is the graveyard. Why? Because people are buried with their ideas, they're buried with their gifts, because they're scared to execute on what God told them to do. They're scared of ridicule. They're scared of being, somebody not like them. All of that. I'm the total opposite, because last time I checked, nobody paid our bills. So, but a lot of people don't have that about themselves, to where I don't care
Yeah.
if you always remember your circle gonna change. It's gonna, as you elevate, your circle will change, and it's okay. I remember people saying, "You changed." I said, "And you didn't," because I'm the
Mm-hmm.
same at 40 something that I was at 20 something. That means I didn't grow at all. So I should change,
Mm-hmm.
as long as I'm changing for the better. And sometimes
Yeah.
people want you to do good, they just don't want you to do better than them. So what they'll do is they'll kill your dreams. They'll try to kill and stop telling everybody what you're doing. You see, I didn't tell nobody nothing. I just boom. Okay, we got a trucking business. Boom, we got this business. Boom, we having this event. I didn't run it past anybody. The reason why, because the only person to run it past was my husband and God. Long as those two was on board, we didn't care who was off board. And that is the mentality and the mindset
Yeah.
that you should have. Because guess what? People are taking advice from people that ain't even qualified to give it to them. Never take financial advice from anybody that you're not willing to trade bank accounts with. And some of them getting financial advice from their cousins, from their mamas, from their friends, and they're not even doing better than them. So how they gonna tell you how to get wealth if they ain't never got it themselves? You know, I don't think that's a secret they would keep from themselves. So always know who to consult
Right.
about what you want to do. Consult God about it if you're married. Consult your about it and keep it pushing. And sometimes you gotta just consult God and keep it pushing, because sometimes the spouse may have some negativity put into them, and they got sight but no vision. I'm gonna say that again. Some people
Yeah.
have sight and no vision, and that is the worst thing a person can do, is have sight and no vision. But don't sleep on your dreams. Don't think tomorrow is not
Yeah.
promised. Get your dreams, whatever your dream is, consult God about it and execute.
Boom. That you just did a drop the mic, right?
Like Obama. Oh,
You just did. Like, seriously. And that's just so important. I really want y'all to reach out to her after this because I'm telling you, her spirit is good. She means well. She really just out here trying to uplift and inspire women and even help you get money in your pocket. And she ain't selfish with it, but you also do have to pay for her
no, no,
time.
no. Yes, I want us to all to eat, honey. I never complain about too much being on my plate. The goal was to eat in the first place. And I want women join the group. It's 6 and Chics is
Yeah.
CHICS. Join the group, and I would love to hug on y'all, love on y'all. Message me on Facebook or Instagram, and I'll get back to you because I want to see you win. Because guess what? I am my sister's keeper.
Yes, you definitely are. Well, thank you, Tiff. I really appreciate you. I said thank you. I really appreciate you.
Anytime, my sister, anytime you need me or anything you need from me, you just let me know. You say the word, and
Yes,
I'll
yes.
love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.